Mac Buckley here with the UCCS Athletic Network. Here you have head coach Christine Hatton of your women's lacrosse team. Coach, first off, how's it going today?
It's going well. Beautiful day for lacrosse. We had a good practice this morning.
And Coach, last time we talked, it was the CSU Pueblo game. We didn't get to chat beforehand, but you went and played games on the road at Fort Lewis and Adams State. One of those teams you've previously seen here at home. Those two games were conference games. What was your perspective from those games, and what was your key takeaway from that and that you implemented this week going into practice?
I thought we were a lot better prepared for Fort Lewis. That obviously did not show. They got away with it really quick, and we couldn't come back. And so we learned a lot that day. Fort Lewis is one of the better teams in our program or in our conference, and it definitely showed that day. And then we went and played Adams 2 days later. We beat them in the beginning of the season, and I think we went into it a little too confident. And, we had gotten better, and so had they. We were up at half, and we let them come away with it. I think we got comfortable and let it slip. And so, again, learned a lot. I think that's what this season is about, is just learning when you're up how to control the game and when you're down how to fight back. And we've had a lot of opportunities to do both. And, we're better prepared going into our last game for the season. We've been up, we've been down, we've been, tied. So we've learned kind of how to deal with those. And, with having freshmen, they're going to have a hard time when things get tough. They panic a little bit, and that's what happened to us at Adams State. But hopefully we got one more game against Mesa, and I hope we can show how much we've progressed over the season.
And, Coach, let's break down that Adams State game a little bit more further. You ended up beating them here at home, Mountain Lion Stadium. That game ended up not being a conference game. This time when you took them on the road, that one was a conference game. You ended up having a great start to that game. The first half looking really well. Start to the second half even pretty good there, but ended up falling in the end. What was really the difference that you saw as far as the difference in that game, not just because you were on the road, but because it was back-to-back with those doubleheader on the road?
The girls haven't learned how to fight through when they're tired and sore, and that's part of just, progressing as a team and knowing how to slow down the ball. And, we are tired, but you can still control the game when you're tired, and that's something that we now know how to do. Unfortunately, we learned the hard way. But, like you said, we were up, and we got tired, and we didn't control the ball and control the game and keep it on our end like we should have, and we made it easy for them to come back, and that's not obviously what we want to do, but they scored, I think, the last 6 of the 7 goals in the game, and so I think they just smelled blood, and they got us. So now we know, and we know how to control the game a little bit better, and when we're up, we can't get confident, we can't get complacent, and we've got to keep fighting and keep, the whole game stay up and not let them fight back. So.
Coach, also just, you mentioned it, Colorado Mesa coming up on Saturday. It's going to be the last game of the season for you, the last conference game too. So that's an opportunity, taking that chance to finish out your season at home. What are your thoughts coming into that, and what are you preparing your team for this week in practice as far as just closing out the season at home?
Mesa's a great program. They've had a team for a while, and they've been pretty good for several years. And so it is going to be a really strong competition for us. They're top of our conference every year. And so I think it's a good test for us at the end of the season, just see how we are, at the very last game versus the very first game, and just see the progression that we've made. And like I said, this year's a learning year. So it's small victories for us as freshmen. The odds have been against us all season long, and we have made some small impacts in every game, and hopefully we can put them all together, and so we can finally see, what do we look like, so we have, carrying that on into next season to see what we, the potential that we really have.
Coach Christine Hatton, you're the first year head coach of the women's lacrosse team ever here at UCCS in program history, and that really is phenomenal, and you're really setting the milestone for the years to come. I mean, this just being your first year, we talked about setting those goals and everything. What has it been like this year, and what is it as far as recapping the season as a whole, talking about those freshmen, when you start a team, talking about that transition that they had to go through from high school into a collegiate sport for the first time ever, and being that in program history? Could you just talk and reflect about that as a whole before we let you go today?
Yeah, I mean, we knew going into this season it was going to be difficult. Every team that we go against starts all juniors and seniors. I mean, very few teams start freshmen, and we start 10 of our 12, sometimes 9 or 10, freshmen on the team at all times. So they're getting the experience and they're getting all of the minutes that most juniors and seniors get. So by the time they're juniors and seniors, they're going to be phenomenal. They've had the experience. So this year, I've said this several times, it's just a learning year. They're getting to figure out what the difference between high school and college is, and learning what worked in high school doesn't necessarily work in college, and fine-tuning some things and figuring out that they're getting comfortable with things that maybe they weren't before. And so they've made progress as individuals and as a team, and hopefully we can finally put it together, for this last game. But it's just been small victories throughout the season. Maybe the game score hasn't come out in our favor, but we've definitely made some progress, and we've learned things, and we've gotten good at different elements of the game, and finally we can put it all together. That's the goal. But our season didn't turn out as much as I had hoped, with as many wins as I had hoped. But again, we learned. And you learn a lot more from losses than you do wins. So we are better prepared going forward, and we know what works for us and what doesn't. And, we've learned from other teams, like what works for them. How do we implement that in our game? And, compliments to some of the other teams that we've played, that we're going to try to mimic what they do because it works. So the girls are learning that. So, again, learning.
Coach Hatton, thank you so much for the insight. Mac Buckley here with the UCCS Athletic Network, as the women's lacrosse team will be taking on Colorado Mesa here at Mountain Lion Stadium on Saturday at noon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Coach Hatton, thank you so much for your time. Have a nice day.
Thanks.